Oh, hello, welcome. Today's recycling topic is e-waste, and our recycling craft will be upcycled gift boxes and wrapping.
Between Thanksgiving and New Year's, household waste increases by 25%. At this time of year, discarded electronics are common as we seek out new models and the latest technology. Today we are going to talk about what happens to our electronic waste and what options we have to recycle and reduce e-waste.
Electronic waste, or e-waste, is a term for electronic products that have been discarded because they may no longer be wanted, or may not be working, or have become obsolete.
Examples include everything from mobile phones, laptops, and televisions, to kitchen appliances, hospital monitors, retail cash registers, smart security systems, and home fitness trackers. Modern society has come to rely more and more on electronic equipment, and that has never been more clear than during the 2020 pandemic. Currently, Americans own an average of 10 electronic products per household. Many of these products will be replaced every few years.
The prevalence of electronics in our daily lives and the high consumption of electronics leads to a high demand for natural resources.
Precious metals like copper, aluminum, gold, and iron are necessary for their creation. Manufacturing electronics also requires water, energy, and chemicals. According to the EPA, to manufacture just one desktop computer and monitor, it takes 530 pounds of fossil fuel, 48 pounds of chemicals, and 1.5 tons of water.
The prevalence of electronics and high turnover of products also generates a lot of waste.
Since 2010, e-waste has been steadily increasing each year. In 2019 alone, over 53.6 metric tons of e-waste was discarded. Although China produces the most e-waste as a nation overall, each American produces almost 4 times as much e-waste as each Chinese citizen. And the United States still produces 3 times as much e-waste as any other nation. Only Germany and France produce more e-waste per capita than the United States. Recycling e-waste recovers valuable resources. For every 1 million cell phones that are recycled, 35,274 pounds of copper can be recovered. Recycling e-waste also reduces water use and pollution from electronics manufacturing. What happens to e-waste? After electronics leave our hands, they can end up in the garbage and eventually to landfills or incinerators. This is still the fate of most e-waste. Only 17.4% of e-waste was recycled globally in 2019. That's 9.3 metric tons, which amounts to $10 million worth of raw materials salvaged. However, 3 years earlier, 20.6% of global e-waste was recycled. The percent of e-waste being recycled year to year is dropping, which tells us that recycling efforts are not keeping pace with increases in e-waste generation.
What happens to electronics when they are recycled?
Recycling electronics involves dismantling complex equipment in order to salvage precious metals and dispose of hazardous components safely. Similar to the recycling facilities that handle household waste, electronics recycling centers rely on machines to help sort different materials so they can be collected and sold to manufacturers. Conveyor belts carry crushed equipment through a series of processes. Magnets help to extract metals like lead, iron, and steel from plastics. Eddy currents are used to separate out aluminum. Lasers and targeted bursts of air can help to identify and separate different materials. But the recycling process is still intensive and requires a great deal of hands-on human effort. In 2016, Basel Action Network worked with MIT to place 205 small GPS-based tracking devices into old monitors and printers and delivered them to a Goodwill and various recyclers around the United States. They found that 152 of the trackers, about 74%, were delivered directly to U.S. electronics recyclers. 53 trackers, about 26%, were delivered to charities or retailers, and 82, about 40%, were exported. There is some concern about the amounts of e-waste being exported because the fate of this waste is undocumented. The improper disposal of electronics results in economic loss when valuable materials are lost, and risks environmental damage when hazardous materials enter the waste stream. Certification programs, such as Responsible Recycling e-Stewards Initiative, is an electronics waste recycling standard. Recyclers with e-Steward certification are recycling electronics responsibly and safely.
What can we do to lower the amount of e-waste? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Take these steps to reduce your need for new devices or multiple devices.
1. Consider whether something new is really needed. Could it be repaired? 2. Try finding a device that can serve multiple functions. 3. Extend the life of your electronics by using a case, keeping them clean, and avoiding overcharging the battery. Reuse when you can, or help others to do so. Donate used working electronics to social programs, charities, and reuse centers. Buy or sell electronics and appliances secondhand when possible. When recycling seems the best option, research your electronics recycler and look for the e-Steward certification. Here in Michigan, common retailers will accept some electronics, including computers and phones, for recycling.
An awesome way to get creative this holiday season and create our own types of packaging and wrapping paper. One way that you can reuse packaging that may appear at your house during the holiday season from the new gifts you've received or purchasing for other people is to actually reuse that packaging to make new packaging that you can put presents in. So today we're going to show you a couple of techniques you can use to get your family involved in creating some reusable packaging and upcycling it into something new. So you can take an old box like this that maybe you received a package in, and if you follow the seam of it, you can either tear it apart like I've already done here on the seam, or you can use scissors to cut it apart. Once you have it torn apart and flat, you can actually apply glue to the edge, and you can re-glue the seam together to make your own box. And this way it's flipped inside out so that you can put your own drawings on it. So if you look right here, we have actually created some of these ways that you can decorate at home and with your family. So here we've used ribbon and Elmer's glue. We've used paint markers that you can find at any kind of fabric store or material store. And we've drawn some different designs. We've made a box here by gluing different fabric swaths to the materials, using these different materials and gluing the fabric swaths to the cardboard. And it creates a pretty awesome looking reusable box. You can also think about ways that you want to wrap your gifts and use different things around the house. You can use newspaper, of course, that's a common one, but newspaper can be really cool to use if you have some different stamps or stencils. You can create some really unique looking wrapping paper by using these different types of materials. You can also use things like old Kleenex boxes. You can use them to either flip them inside out to make your own package like we did earlier. A lot of tissue boxes come with some pretty cool designs on them that you can cut out in the different shapes and glue on. Paper bags that can work really well with paint markers and make really cool designs to act as wrapping paper. You can use old maps as a way to decorate. You can also think about the types of materials that you use that are reusable, that you can use over and over again, like these nifty bags that you can use puff paint on or fabric paint on to make cool designs. Another way that you can wrap presents is to use fabric. If you use fabric, then you can easily remove the fabric and use it again next year. Or the fabric could be a part of someone's gift. These are some of the ways that we can think about using this packaging, the mass amount of packaging that we get, and upcycling it into something new.